It's one of the biggest launches from Maruti Suzuki this year. It's the new 7-seater Ertiga in its second generation. It has now finally come to India after its sort of global debut a couple of months ago in the Indonesian market. Of course, it's a whole new looking car, so it looks much larger. It is larger dimension-wise too. But before we get into all of those bits, let's tell you the pricing of the new Ertiga, because it has been priced rather well. Now, the petrol manual version, a petrol manual first of all comes in 4 variants: the LXI, the VXI, the ZXI and the ZXI Plus, and the petrol manual starts at 7.44 lakh rupees ex-showroom belly, and the top of the line ZXI Plus goes all the way up to 9.5 lakh rupees ex-showroom belly. The petrol automatic comes only in 2 variants, the VXI and ZXI. Prices start at 9,18,000 rupees ex-showroom to 9,95,000 rupees, and the diesel, on the other hand, again 4 variants, only a manual gearbox option: LDI, VDI, ZDI, ZDI Plus. Prices start at 8,84,000 rupees and end at 10,90,000 rupees ex-showroom belly. Now that we're done with that, let me put my phone away. Let me take you around the car and show you the new design language. And let's start with that front end, because of course it looks very different, very inspired, some say, by the Innova Krista. And it does. It's got this big new grille, a lot of chrome there. And the grille, of course, fuses into those headlamps, and it does look very upright, very sort of SUV-esque, even though it is a 7-seater MPV in its truest sense. New headlight projector headlamps too, and on the whole it does look a lot better. It looks a lot sportier with all these new elements too in the bumpers. These little slats that we've seen on the likes of the Ciaz, on the likes of the Swift too. This looks quite cool, the fog lamps on the bottom here. And just in general, the Ertiga does look much more grown up, much better as a car. 15-inch wheels are standard on all models, 15-inch alloy wheels on this top of the line spec. They aren't the polished ones that you see, the two-tone sort of diamond cut ones that you see on the likes of the Swift and the Ciaz and Desire, but well, they do look quite cool. And this market, of course, you do need something more sort of normal looking. The side profile is the most iconic of the lot. That's big change. It's got this sort of floating roof structure at the back, and this again very Toyota Innova Krista like. And again, it does look quite cool. This little swoop going up from the bottom, a very cool little touch that they've put in. And then as we move to the rear, you've got these sort of boomerang tail lamps. Now, this we've of course seen in the likes of Volvo cars in the past, and now this comes in a mass market car like the Ertiga. Again, a very cool touch. In general, the car does look much better as compared to the first generation. Now, it is longer, it is wider, slightly taller too. Wheelbase though remains the same, but all those changes mean there's more space in the interior for passengers, more importantly for luggage at the rear seat too. So let's move to the interior now, and that's of course something that a lot of people spend a lot of time in. So Maruti really has put in a ton of effort with the interior on the new Ertiga. Now, for example, you get this whole new layered dashboard theme. Again, remember, this is seems very inspired by the Innova Krista. So you get this lovely wooden feel here on the dashboard. This does actually feel like it's great quality, although it is still a plastic wooden feel. It isn't cheap. It doesn't feel really cheap and doesn't feel aftermarket. It feels nice and nice with the touch too. Of course, you get that very telltale Maruti central console with that big infotainment system in the front. You get Apple CarPlay, you get Android Auto, you get Mirror Link on this. You get Bluetooth interface for your cell phone. You also get an auxiliary port down here. So you get your standards, which is on almost every single Maruti car now. You also get climate control, and the one real cool feature that you get, I'm going to call my camera person closer in, is now you get sort of bottle holders or cup holders with a cooled feature here. So you have a little vent here and here where you can cool your little cup, sort of bottle of water or your little can of soda or something. But it does get that as an additional extra. That's something that we didn't know, so that's a cool feature. Apart from that, other sort of small features that stand out, you get a leather wrapped steering wheel, you get a flat bottom steering wheel. So this essentially is the same one from the Desire, but it feels a little more premium because of the leather wrapped sort of finish on it. And the interior in general sort of brown and beige combination. Cloth seats, no leather options. This is the top of the line version, but it doesn't get leather options as standard. You do of course get your height adjustable seat on the driver's side, and you get keyless entry. So you get a start-stop button, which is of course on the right side. So standard features across most Maruti cars, but now the Ertiga feels a lot more premium, a lot more sort of upmarket in terms of general feel. Let's get into the back now, because the back is where you get a lot more space. Now, I am going to sort of adjust the seat a little bit, and of course you do get reclining seats on the center, on the second row too. Let me put my seat belt on quickly. Right, so you do get reclining seats on the second row, and although this is a little sort of further back because the front seats aren't adjusted correctly, you do have a lot more leg space here. Of course, you do have that roof-mounted AC vent too, but in general, again, it feels more comfortable because, again, remember, this is a wider car as compared to the previous generation. So fitting 3 people here should not really be an issue. The other big change, sort of first glance, that I feel is that the seat bottom is a lot more comfortable because it's a lot wider. So your under-thigh support is now much better as compared to, say, a previous generation Ertiga. This is going to be a really comfortable car in the back seat. And that brings us to the last row of seats, and of course the boot, which is of course the biggest difference when you come to interior space on the car, because of course the car is longer but the wheelbase hasn't changed. The real improvement in space has come in the boot. This is now twice the size and twice the capacity of the first generation car, which means you can actually fit in luggage, because, well, the first generation car was actually piddly small, but this one, well, it can even fit me in. So that's always a good thing. 209 liters of space in the boot here when the seats are sort of folded up. If you fold the seats flat, you get a lot more, and if you fold everything flat, you get over 800 liters of space. And that's a great amount of space in an MPV this size, because you do have sort of tend to store things, and you can actually move house with this kind of a car. That said, the Ertiga now looks better because, well, it's got a whole new design language. It has a whole bunch of features more, and finally, it also has a new petrol engine. So let me quickly tell you about all of that. The new Ertiga gets a 1.5-litre petrol engine, basically the same motor that you get on the Ciaz. The new K15 makes 103 bhp of peak power and 138 Nm of torque, and gets mated to a 5-speed manual or a 4-speed automatic. The diesel, on the other hand, is the same tried and tested 1.3-litre DDIS motor that makes 89 bhp of peak power and 200 Nm of torque. That said, the Ertiga diesel only gets a manual gearbox and no automatic option.
No, not really at the moment. We don't have an automatic transmission for the diesel 1.3 high power, especially for a vehicle like this. For a smaller vehicle, our AMT technology or the AGS technology does work well, and customers are accepting that very well. But for this, currently we don't have. Definitely we understand that requirement of the customer, and we'll work on it.
Both engines have been mated to the SHVS or Suzuki Hybrid Vehicle Systems that offer a start-stop technology and are basically a mild hybrid. This means fuel economy is even better than before. And here are the figures. The Ertiga petrol manual gets 19.34 kilometers per litre, while the petrol automatic gets 18.69 kilometers per litre. The diesel manual, on the other hand, gets a whopping 25.47 kilometers per litre. The Ertiga will be available at Maruti Suzuki's Arena dealership, of which there are about 2,200 across the country. And at a booking amount of 11,000 rupees, bookings are already racking up quickly.
Well, we started bookings about a week ago, and already in less than a week's time, we have close to 10,000 bookings. And I'm sure that the kind of, say, stylish model that we have launched, which is, much better on performance, space, comfort and style, once the customers see it, and the aggressive pricing that we have done, the pace of bookings is going to accelerate further.
We did manage to speak to a fair few dealers across the country, and it seems like the petrol models have a greater demand as compared to the diesels, and in general, the higher spec variants like the ZXi or ZDI or ZXi and ZDI Plus have a better demand. In terms of pricing, the new Ertiga massively undercuts the likes of the Mahindra Marazzo, although the Mahindra is of course a larger car. It also goes up against the likes of the Honda BRV the Renault Logi and to some extent even the Mahindra TUV 300 Plus.